There is a machine that can give you any life you want. Perfect, custom-built, indistinguishable from reality, for life. You float in a tank, and you forget you ever chose it. The catch is this: you decide now, knowing it is a machine. Would you plug in? Almost everyone says no. The interesting part is why. Here is the scene, and it is worth picturing exactly. You float in a tank, electrodes on your skull, while neuropsychologists stimulate your brain to give you any experience you could want. You could be writing a great novel, or making a friend, or reading a book on a slow afternoon. And it would not feel like a trick. It would feel like a full life, indistinguishable from the real thing, because once you are inside, you forget you ever chose it. That is the device the philosopher Robert Nozick built in his 1974 book, Anarchy, State and Utopia, 25 years before a film called The Matrix borrowed the imagery. But Nozick's question is not the one you might expect. He is not asking whether you could tell you were inside. He grants that you could not. He is asking something stranger. Knowing in advance that it is a machine, knowing the life it gives you is manufactured, would you still choose to plug in, for good, with no way back? You decide now, while you still remember it is a choice. And here is what almost everyone says when you put it to them honestly. No, they would not get in. Even with a perfect, endless, custom-built life on offer, something in us recoils and refuses. That refusal is the whole puzzle. Because if the machine guarantees everything pleasant you could ever feel, your no is telling you that a good life is made of more than feeling. The question is what? To see why that no matters, you have to see what Nozick was aiming at. He did not build the machine as a riddle. He built it as a weapon, pointed at a specific idea about happiness. The idea is called hedonism, and it is more precise than the word sounds. It does not mean partying or selfish indulgence. It is the claim that your well-being is determined entirely by your experiences, by how much pleasant and unpleasant feeling your life contains, and nothing else. If that claim were true, the machine should be irresistible. It offers maximum pleasant experience, cleanly, with all the disappointment stripped out. A committed hedonist should sprint to the tank. The fact that you hesitate is the evidence. Your reluctance suggests that experience alone is not the whole of what you want. And this fault line is old. Jeremy Bentham, the classical utilitarian, weighed pleasure by sheer quantity. More is better, regardless of kind. John Stuart Mill, writing in 1863, could not accept that. He insisted some pleasures are higher than others, that the life of the mind outranks mere comfort, and he put it bluntly. Better to be Socrates dissatisfied than a fool satisfied. Even Mill, defending pleasure, was straining against the idea that all pleasure is equal. And further back, Aristotle had refused the premise outright. The good life, he said, is flourishing, a life of activity well lived, not a quantity of agreeable feeling. So when you flinch at the tank, you are stepping into an argument that is thousands of years old. The next question is what exactly the machine takes from you. Nozick gave 3 answers, worth taking one at a time, in his order, because their distinctness is the point. The first is that you want to do things, not merely have the experience of doing them. You do not just want the sensation of writing the novel, you want to actually write it. The experience was supposed to be the byproduct of really acting in the world, and the machine keeps the byproduct while deleting the act. The second reason cuts deeper into who you are. Someone floating in a tank, Nozick writes, is an indeterminate blob. Ask whether that floating self is courageous, or kind, or witty, or loving, and there is no answer. It is not that the traits are hard to read. There is no way he is any of them, because he is not doing anything, not facing anything, not being anyone. Nozick calls plugging in a kind of suicide, and he means it almost literally. In the tank, you do not get a better self. you get no self at all. The third reason reaches past you, to the world. You want actual contact with a deeper reality, not one human beings manufactured for you. The machine can simulate that contact perfectly, but it stays a man-made room with no window onto anything real. And notice, this is not a worry about whether the simulation convinces you. Nozick grants that it is flawless. His point is that a flawless copy of contact is still not contact. Put the three together and the verdict is brutal. The machine offers you the experience of a life while quietly removing the doing, the being, and the touching it was always about. That is the principled case for no. And it sounds airtight until someone turns it around. Here is the turn, and it should unsettle you because everything so far has flattered us. Our refusal seemed to prove we love reality more than comfort. Then, in 2010, a philosopher named Philippe de Brigard ran the experiment backwards in a paper called "If You Like It, Does It Matter If It's Real?" He did not ask whether people would plug in. He told them they were already inside. Imagine you learn your entire life has been an experience machine, and now you can stay or disconnect and return to your real life outside. Suddenly, the love of reality goes quiet. In the neutral version, where people heard nothing about their real life, only about 54% wanted to disconnect, which means nearly half chose to stay. Then he changed the real life on offer. Told that outside the tank they were an imprisoned criminal, only around 13% wanted out. The vast majority stayed plugged in rather than wake in a cell. And when the outside life was a wealthy artist in Monaco, only about half left, roughly the neutral result. Look at what predicts the choice. It is not reality. It is whatever life you already have. We cling to the current situation, real or not, and there is a name for that pull. Status quo bias, the documented preference for keeping the state you are in. So your noble no, the one that felt like a love of truth, may be something plainer. It may just be, I prefer what I already have. Now, this is one influential study, and its reading is contested. It does not prove reality is worthless to us, but it shows our intuition is bent by framing and partly driven by bias. The proof of virtue is no longer clean. So where does that leave us? Honestly, without cheating, toward a comfortable ending. Both things are true at once, and we have to hold them. The bias is real. Your refusal to plug in is not the spotless proof of character you wanted it to be. But notice that the bias does not make Nozick wrong. Look again at the people who do unplug. In de Brigard's prison case, the ones who chose to wake into a cell were reaching for exactly what Nozick named: the wish to do, to be someone, to touch a real world, even a hard one. The reasons survived the experiment. They just stopped being a clean alibi for our comfort. So the honest landing is not a winner, it is a reframe. The thought experiment was never going to settle whether pleasure is all that matters, and that debate in philosophy is still genuinely open. What the machine does instead is diagnostic. It holds up what we say we want, reality, authorship, being someone, against what we are quietly biased to keep, whatever feels familiar right now. And here is why this stopped being hypothetical. You already make this trade, in smaller doses, every day. The feeds you scroll, the films you sink into, the frictionless little pleasures engineered to feel like a life, all of them tilt the same way, toward how things feel and away from contact with the world. None of that is the machine exactly, but it is a softer version of the same bargain. So the real question was never whether you would plug in. It is which machine you are already half inside, and whether, knowing what you now know about the bias, you would still choose it again with your eyes open. So the experience machine is still humming, and the honest answer is not the flattering one. Nozick gave us reasons to refuse, the wish to do, to be someone, to touch the real. De Brigard showed those reasons are tangled up with plain bias, toward whatever we already have. The trade is no longer hypothetical. You make a softer version of it every day. So tell me below, knowing all this, would you still choose reality? And which machine are you already half inside? Subscribe and stay curious.